98 FM's Dublin Talks. Call 6797 981.
And good morning to you. It is Tuesday morning, Tuesday the 3rd of Feb 2020. And this is Adrian Kennedy with you until midday today. We have to say welcome. Well, they're not here yet, but they're due. Welcome to Kate and William, or William and Kate, who are coming on their holidays. They describe it as a royal visit, and okay, they are royal, but it's just a holiday, really, isn't it? It's a holiday that's costing us £1 million in security, but yeah, it's a holiday. William and Kate coming to Dublin today. The reason I mention this is they're going to be visiting all sorts of places. They're popping up to Michael D in the Áras. They're going to the Garden of Remembrance, government buildings, and the Guinness Storehouse. Sounds riveting. And tomorrow they're going for a bag of chips in Howth, and they're going to Temple Bar. I don't know what they're going to do. They're having a pint in Temple Bar and then going out for fish and chips in Howth. But the reason I mention all of this is because there are a number of expected temporary road closures, as happens when we all go on our holidays. They close roads for me when I go away. Well, no, they don't really. But anyway, here is an example of some of the road diversions or closures that you can expect in Dublin today, thanks to William and Kate. So, for example, there will be traffic restrictions near the Garden of Remembrance, including North Frederick Street and Parnell Square. From about 3 to 5, traffic restrictions in the vicinity of government buildings. This evening, Market Street South and Bellevue in Dublin 8 will be closed to all traffic. Pedestrian access to the Guinness Storehouse will be restricted to invited and vetted persons only. So if you fancied going with your mates to the Guinness Storehouse this evening, it's not going to be happening. And then tomorrow morning, Essex Street will be closed to all traffic and pedestrians. And from 3 to 5, Howth will be restricted access. Local access will be maintained and local diversion routes in place. And there'll be specialist Gardaí, including armed support units, are already deployed to patrol and secure areas on the royal couple's itinerary. It's just a holiday, isn't it? Anyway, so be aware that they will be around town today and they'll be in Howth tomorrow. The Duke and Duchess of Cambridge. Anyway, that's all very exciting. They're on their holidays now. I want to find out from you, and I want you... Oh, sorry, I've been asked to play this WhatsApp voice note. Hang on there for 1 second. Here's somebody who's pulling me up on something silly, according to our Katie.
Hello, Adrian. You just said good morning. It's the 3rd of February. Hello, you're 4 weeks behind the rest of the dubs. It's the 3rd of March. Wakey, wakey. Cheers, Morris.
Morris, you're dead right. It is Tuesday, the 3rd of March. Sorry, my apologies. I just love February so much. I didn't want it to end. Now, I want to hear from you. Again, this is the story that I've no doubt we're going to be talking about for weeks to come. Well, actually, I hope we're not talking about it for weeks to come. I hope it comes to an abrupt end and we don't have to talk about it anymore. But at this moment in time, it is the topic that everybody is talking about, and that, of course, is the coronavirus, or COVID-19, as they call it now. And as you know, we have had one case here in Dublin, a young fellow who is being cared for in hospital, in isolation, and he is the only case that we are aware of at this moment here in the south. Up north, of course, there is that woman who flew into Dublin last week. And I tell you what I want to hear from you. I want to know from you what impact this has had on your life so far, if any. And what I mean by that is, for example, and not just here in Ireland, for example, I know an aunt of mine was meant to be going on a cruise this weekend, cancelled. Whole thing cancelled. It was meant to be leaving from Hong Kong, I think, or Singapore, or somewhere like that, but it was in Asia anyway. Got notification, sorry, your cruise is cancelled. So that's the impact it's had on her life. But I also want to find out, are you doing anything any differently? Like, for example, a hand sanitizer thing was put on the wall in our office upstairs here at the radio station last Friday. And it was a big bottle, and you press down the thing and you put the hand sanitizer on your hands. It's empty already. In other words, people are washing their hands like it's going out of fashion. which is a good thing. That's the advice we're being given. So what little things have you changed in your life, or what sort of an impact is this having on your life, if any? Call me right now on 6797 981. You can text, WhatsApp, or send a WhatsApp voice note to 0877 98 98 98. 0877 98 98 98. Has this coronavirus crisis had any impact on your life? Maybe it hasn't had any, and you're not in any way concerned about it. We will talk to you about those in a couple of minutes. Get them into us right now, 6797 981, or, as I said, text, WhatsApp, or send a WhatsApp voice note to 0877 98 98 98. Now, as you will know, a Northside school was closed for 2 weeks over the weekend. It was announced, and parents were notified. The HSE was involved. The HSE, as we discussed yesterday on the programme, didn't announce what school it was, but we all know what school it is, and it was very widely circulated on social media. And yesterday we spoke to a parent of one of the children from that school who expressed his concern about the fact that his child had contact with the young man who's the first case in the country, and he's a little bit concerned about the way in which they've been asked to self-isolate, and it's just his child, not him or his other children. But anyhow, yesterday evening, parents of children from that school were invited to a meeting at the school with the HSE. And Alan is the parent that we spoke to yesterday, and he joins me again on the line. Alan, thank you very much indeed for joining us again, and welcome to 98 FM.
Good morning.
Firstly, how is your child, before I ask you anything else?
No change. Everything seems okay.
Everything seems okay.
Thank goodness.
All right. Fingers crossed that it stays that way. Now, you, as one of the parents of the school with 400 pupils, were invited to a meeting yesterday evening. Tell me about how you received this invitation, firstly.
Well, there was an invite sent out to everybody from the school. We got an email from the school. There was a bit of an issue with the parents last night about some people got it at certain times and other people got it at other times. That seems to be kind of how the communications go. There's no group email or group text with the HSE. So we attended yesterday evening. There was probably, there must have been 400 or 500 people in the room, all parents and guardians of children from the school. And we met just with the HSE. They had a panel of experts. There was no Department of Education or anybody from the school there. So we just met with them. There was 5 or 6 experts just basically talking us through where we're at and where we're going.
Okay, so what sorts of information were you given, or was it just the same as you'd been given in the letter?
Well, this went on for over 2 hours, 2.5 hours, so it's quite long. Straight away, there were some good speakers. There were some experts, like microbiologists, professors, like people who are obviously far more expertise in this area than myself or most of us. They did speak and they spoke well, some of these people, but I would have to say people who asked certain questions weren't given answers because they're hiding behind confidentiality. Now, nobody was asking about specifics about specific students or families or anything like that. I mean, we do respect that. But I would suppose, if I was put the tone of the room, it was kind of fear and anger, I suppose, about how we've arrived where we are. It was chaired by some gentleman, I don't know what his name was, but he was quite rude to some of the speakers and quite dismissive of them. Because when you're sitting in the room, you're listening to the stories of the people. Some of them have parents at home who are old, some more susceptible to disorders, people who are recovering from illnesses like cancer, again, pregnant people, all of the ones who are in the kind of the danger area. And I just think the information that was given that was good was kind of lost a little bit. It was like a town hall meeting. And it didn't come across very well. It was kind of, you'd have to extrapolate it from the meeting to actually say, well, actually, this is where we're at. This is what the voice. I mean, because look, we've been talking about this for a week, 10 days now. So we're kind of, I'm not saying we're experts in the area, but we know the basics. We know the basics about what's happening here. But we're more concerned about what's going on. Like, is there anybody else being treated for? Has anybody else been tested? What are the percentage chances of somebody else getting this? They wouldn't answer any of those questions.
Okay, so are you as much in the dark after that meeting, or do you feel you know more? Do you feel more confident that it's being dealt with properly?
I think the biggest problem is the information. That's what we said. Like, for example, the HC confidential hotline that they've set up was giving contradictory information to parents. This was highlighted at the meeting last night, and their answer was that it was undermanned with staff they wouldn't normally use. Those kind of answers don't go down well in a room like that. That's not an acceptable answer, really. Like the resource, they have the funding. Like, just have the people to give proper advice. Don't tell somebody something and tell somebody else something else. I just think the language and how it was done wasn't kind of person friendly. The factual information can be lost. When people are very animated, and the confidentiality clause has kind of been used more to protect the HSE. Kind of felt like a bit of spin and PR. Rather than, look, this is where we're at, this is the honesty. I would say there was a kind of lack of cards on the table, which is that's all people wanted.
Okay, so
basically what we're saying anyway is the bottom line we're saying is, like, okay, all of our children are what they call people of contact.
Yes.
So they've had contact. They're all being deemed, the staff and all of the students have been deemed as people of contact. But all of the people around them, like ourselves and siblings, are just being called contacts of contacts. What we don't understand, and one parent did ask last night, is how a person of contact is put into isolation for 14 days. And we all accept that. Everybody accepts where we're at, and it's difficult. But look, you do what you've got to do to contain this. But how we're told not to bring visitors to our homes, not to go anywhere, not to bring these people, not to bring our children anywhere, not to let people into our houses, not to do anything like that. But yet we're told to go to work. While Google are coming on saying that they have 8,000 staff yesterday, they told them not to come to work.
So again, what you were saying to me, what you were saying to me yesterday, Alan, was that you found it very odd that your child has been, or you've been asked to self-isolate your child. So your child isn't leaving the house for the next 2 weeks, and that's fine. But meanwhile, your other children and you, although you've chosen to keep your other children at home, but you're going about your daily business, you're in work and whatever, and you've had contact with your child, obviously.
Yeah, and I mean, the question was put, can somebody who has been in contact with somebody who has confirmed has the virus, can they contract the virus? If they've contracted the virus but shown no symptoms, can they transfer that to somebody else? They said they don't think so, but they can't be absolutely correct in that. So to me, that's very strange. If there's no absolute, I don't get it. Now, people have said to me, why are you going to work? I said, because I've spoken to 4 senior people. I've spoken to professors and doctors in the HSC. I haven't been told not to. I've been told to go to work. So that's why nobody would write me off or say you don't go, or you're sick, or here's a note, you don't go to work. If you don't go to work, you're going to be marked as absent because you've been told to go to work.
All right, now a number of listeners have sent us in a copy of a letter purportedly from the HSE to do with somewhere in Clontarf, and very similar to the letter that was sent to your school. I can't comment on it because I can't confirm it, but it looks identical, although different, to the one that was sent to your school, asking again young people to self-isolate. I can't comment on it any further than that, other than to say that this letter is in circulation. I've been sent a proper PDF copy of this particular letter. It looks legitimate, but until the HSE announced later on today, I can't comment. But this is obviously an ongoing concern. This is another letter like the one sent to you as a parent, Alan, asking people involved in something completely separate and completely different in the Clontarf area to self-isolate. We will obviously, as soon as the HSE confirm that, we will bring that out into the public domain. But that is worrying that more letters are going out like the ones that you got.
Well, you see, because there's 2 strands to this. Obviously, they need a sustained public education campaign to get across the message, because people are very afraid. I see neighbours and friends and family, and they're Google is a terrible thing.
It is absolutely. I agree.
The worst case scenario. Yep. But we need to address the fear and the misinformation about it at the moment. But that said, I did say to one of the doctors in the HSE yesterday, so my child's school is closed, but the bus they shared, I've seen children going by there yesterday from other schools using the same buses. They don't have a definitive time frame on how long that. So if your child coughs and it goes on the seat, or it goes on the bus handle of the doors or anything like that, they don't have a definitive time they can last for a couple of days. They were all sharing those buses last week. Those buses went clean. That's just a simple thing about how it works.
Yep.
It's just why not just close all of the schools rather than now we're going to wait for another case in another school, shut that school, and then maybe down the line another school and shut that school. Like, I just don't think it's reactive rather than being proactive, and that's what I've said to them. They don't accept that, but
okay. And generally speaking, and finally, Alan, parents that were at that meeting, was the sense after the meeting, as people were leaving, was it a sense of satisfaction that they're happy with the way it's being dealt, or dissatisfaction?
I think well, I don't want to speak for everybody else, but just from the tone, I mean, there were some angry speakers. There were speakers who, as I said, asked questions, they weren't answered. They were given generic answers. I mean, you could have read them off a leaflet. You don't have 5 experts there who are experts in the field, not answer specific questions and hide behind confidentiality when they're not actually being asked to breach confidentiality. Just be honest about it. We're the first people to go through this, so I mean, I don't think they recognise that. I don't think they recognise the fear that people have. This is brand new to us. I've never been in a room with something like that before in my life. So I think, if I sum it up, I think we were just kind of scratching our heads thinking, I mean, what really happened there? We were brought in just as a thing to be done, I think. But did it allay my fears? No, absolutely not.
All right, Alan, again, as I said to you yesterday, we'll keep in touch with you during the week as this story develops, and we appreciate you talking to us again here at 98 FM, and the best luck to you and all of your family. Now, another meeting was held with the HSE yesterday involving Dublin City councillors, and one of those councillors who was at that meeting was Councillor Nolene Riley. Nolene, welcome to 98 FM.
How are you doing, Adrian?
You've just heard Alan, who's one of the parents that attended that school meeting yesterday. He is not reassured, not overly happy with the way in which this is being dealt with. You had a meeting separately with the HSE yesterday. What was your overriding feeling when you finished?
I suppose it was a very short meeting, and I suppose that was the problem in itself. They met with us just before they were going to meet with parents, and I suppose I'd have probably a similar enough view to the view that Alan had on it. None of us are medical experts here, so we are relying on the information that we get from the HSE to then, I suppose, what we do, carry on our daily activities and in terms of things like that. But I think there's a lot of confusion, and I suppose there is a lot of there's a lot of scaremongering going on, and people are rightly very worried. But I'm just not sure that the HSE were saying to us, they kept telling us to direct our constituents to the website. I'm not really sure that's good enough. Like, I totally accept that this is a new virus. It's a new virus to the world. Every day it's evolving, and there's new information coming out about it as we learn more about it. But at the same time, it's the same questions, I suppose, that Alan posed there were the questions that councillors were posing, and we didn't really get answers to them because, like, I suppose if a child is in that school has been told to self-isolate, what about the people that child has come into contact with? And
that is Alan's biggest fear. And even he himself, obviously he's at home every day, he's with his daughter. His daughter hasn't shown any symptoms at all, but is a point of contact with the first confirmed case. And he is a point of contact with his daughter, should she, God forbid, develop it. And it doesn't seem to... well, maybe it'd be an overreaction to stop Alan going to work. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm kind of unclear myself coming from that meeting. They did make it clear that they closed the school as a precautionary measure, and they said that only people that were in very close contact with the person infected might have a likelihood of getting it. They didn't advise that any other schools be closed or any other sports clubs or anything like that. And I know some of the local primary schools and sports clubs have taken different measures themselves.
Yes, no, I've noted the local GAA club and the local soccer club in the area have both said if you're from the school and you're self-isolating, please don't attend for practice, but other than that, we're open for business as usual.
Yeah, like the school itself, it's both, like it is in Glasnevin and Drumcondra, but it would have students from Ballymun,
from all over the place. Yeah,
it's all over the place. Like, so there's a lot of areas affected by it.
But at this moment, all sports clubs are continuing as normal, but they've asked any child from that school to not attend, basically. Okay, so at the end of the whole thing, Nolene, are you confident enough that this is being dealt with as best as is possible?
The honest answer is I just really don't know. There's still a lot of questions. Like, I was contacted by parents after that meeting last night that they felt it was a waste of time. They, like Alan, they felt that they didn't get the answers to the questions that they were asking. Like, the HSE are still refusing to name the school, and when every dog and cat in the street knows who it is. Like, I just don't understand the secrecy around this. I totally understand why you wouldn't name any individuals and that poor child that has this. Like, but you know, I just, like, there seems to be a lot of secrecy around this. I don't know why. I think the more information we can give the public, the better to contain this. I think the more you kind of try and hide things, like, the more people are going to be scared. And like, you know, as Alan said, Google is probably the worst thing you can look at, but people are only resorting to that if they're not getting accurate information from the HSE. So I don't think it's really good enough to say, look at our website. Yeah, no, I will. I was looking at the HSE website earlier on. It is very detailed. It does have all the correct information on there. And to Google on other websites, and this is what the HSE have been urging people to do, is to go to reputable sites and not to go and let your mind wander freely. Yeah. But I suppose there was some confusion at the councillors' meeting in relation to whether other schools had been told that if they had siblings in that school that they weren't to attend. Like, that seemed to be the general consensus, but yet the HSE were saying, well, no, we didn't give any directive on that. So there was total confusion in the room in relation to who is supposed to go to school, who's supposed to not go to school. Like, we obviously, we can't close down, you know, the country. We need to try and operate as normal and try and not, I suppose, panic people. One of the main, they kept emphasising the point about the website, but also that it was really important that people washed their hands and
sing happy birthday twice and all of that.
It seems such a simple thing, but they really did keep emphasising that. And I suppose, because it's such a new virus, there is no vaccine. We are all open to it. Like, none of us have any immunity to it, but most, like 99% of people that will get this will be absolutely fine, and that's really important to lay that across. But I suppose I've had parents on to me who have siblings who are pregnant or who have, you know, low immune systems, and they're really, really, really concerned. But as one thing the HSE did say, that it's really important, if people suspect that they may be affected by this, or they can feel that they have this, that they don't turn up at an emergency department.
Absolutely,
or they don't turn up
and just call your GP.
That they call beforehand, because the last thing they want is that being brought in and affecting people that are already ill. All right. So
Councillor Nolene Riley, thank you very much indeed for talking to us. Our telephone number is 6797 981. Text, WhatsApp, or send a WhatsApp voice note to 0877 98 98 98. I want to find out from you how you have been affected by this whole crisis, whether it be having to cancel a holiday, or not planning to get on that plane this weekend, or washing your hands incessantly, or whatever. In what way has this affected you? Maybe your family have been affected. Maybe you've stopped visitors coming to your house. Or maybe you've done absolutely nothing. Call me right now on 6797 981. You can text, WhatsApp, or send a WhatsApp voice note to 0877 98 98 98. Back in a second.
The sound of the city, from Blackrock to Ballyfermot. Dublin Talks. 98 FM's Dublin Talks.
And this is Adrian Kennedy with you until midday today. I want to find out how you are being impacted by the coronavirus scare, and maybe it hasn't affected you at all in any way, or maybe you've changed certain habits, maybe you've cancelled a holiday, maybe you have whatever way it is affected. Like, for example, if I 6 weeks ago came into the office with a bit of a cold, I wouldn't have been asked to leave. because, God love him, he has a cold. And then I got this message and it says, there's a girl in my office who came back from Barcelona a week ago and she's coughing and sneezing and has a cold. She was sent home on Friday, but came back in yesterday and was sent home again, but she's in again today. I don't feel comfortable being around her. Should I be made work with her? What do you think? And here's the thing. If this was 6 weeks ago and that same girl, you wouldn't even make a connection with her coming back from Barcelona. She'd have been in work with a cold. And in fact, I've had colleagues here in the radio station over the last couple of weeks who have been in work with a cold. It takes me to be on my back before I'll take a day off work. And that's just me. A lot of people take a day off work with the slightest sniffle, but for me, I have to be in bits now to not come into work sick. So the point I'm making is, why would you automatically assume that somebody who's in Barcelona, which to the best of my knowledge hasn't had any outbreak yet, would have anything that would make you feel uncomfortable working with her? Would you have felt that way 6 weeks ago? Probably not. Barbara, you're on 98 FM. How are you, Barbara?
Hi, how are you?
Good, thank you, Barbara. Barbara, your stepson is going out with a girl from that particular school that has been closed. Mm-hmm. And, it says on my screen, he spent every day with her last week kissing.
Yeah, well, they're in a relationship. They're 16 years old, so obviously they've kissed, and isn't that like how contact becomes contact? It
certainly would be a way to spread it, all right, yes, yeah. Absolutely.
So my biggest concern was, if she's in an incubation period of 14 days and he was in contact with her over the coming days of before this had all come out,
But she's from the school, so is she not self-isolating now?
She is at the moment, but he would have been with her on the Saturday, all the way up through the whole of last week until Saturday, and then this didn't all blow up until the Sunday.
Yeah.
So he was with her Saturday all the way up till 10:30 in the night.
And it wasn't until it was announced that the school was being closed and the students were being asked to self-isolate that he stopped contact with her, basically.
Yeah, well, we did, yeah, as parents, we said it.
Okay, so God forbid, God forbid any one of the other 400 odd students from that school should contract this. The HSE have said that they've closed the school or asked for the school to be closed just in an abundance of caution, essentially.
Yeah, it's precautionary, but I just feel like it's going to be, we should have probably done something sooner. Because let's be honest, with the HSE in the country, I know it's not about that, but everything is left to last minute, and then it's like a panic. So, if she's in an incubation period now, what's to say that she wasn't in contact with that student? She didn't get something. It's a 14-day kind of thing. You can get symptoms up to 14 days. So now I rang my stepson's school this morning and they said to contact the HSE. So I contacted the HSE helpline for that. I rang the HSE and the local clinic and they gave me a direct number. So I rang that direct number and they had to go off and ask somebody else. So I just don't have any faith in it. They had to go off and ask somebody else a question as to should this child go into school this morning, and I was told he's okay once he's not showing any symptoms. But I did elaborate on, I thought symptoms can take up to 14 days to appear. And I said, well, he should be okay. So where do you go?
Okay, so and I do understand the difficulty, and you see the next stage is that we shut the country down, and nobody wants that, and that's just not realistic. Well, at this moment in time, it's not realistic, and I get your concern and that she was with this fella last week, but do you know, for example, if this fella was in contact with the young man who has the virus?
So we're not to know. He was in the school, obviously. They're all in the same school. They're telling you to, hand sanitize constantly, because if he sneezed or if he touched the door or something like that, it's viral, So I know you can't shut the country down, you can't stay in, and everybody has to go to work and people have to go to school. But I just think it's a case of, it's not going to. We're not being told full truth. I don't think.
What do you think is being withheld?
Well, it's such a scary thing. I know you don't believe everything you see on the internet.
No.
But it's just everybody has a different story about this. You know, some are.
I mean, I'll give you an example. I don't know if you've seen some of the videos that have, purportedly come from China of people walking down the street and dropping dead on the street and all of this. And in fact, somebody said, answer me this. Have you ever heard of somebody having the flu without having a fever or cough? Why are people dropping dead on the spot with no... Those videos are all bull. Rubbish, fake news. So that's the sort of stuff we're being shown, and this is where the HSE are urging people to go to reputable sources for their information.
So I rang the HSE, but I didn't really get a great answer from them. I rang the specific helpline for the coronavirus, and I didn't really get a full answer. Like, it was just, well, he should be okay. Yeah. I'm not saying that his girlfriend has it or she was even in contact with this other student, but it's just a chance that you can't take, like, you know.
Okay, so a chance that you can't take. What are you going to do? Are you going to keep him at home?
No, we sent him in. He has his hand sanitizer, he has gloves and he has a mask, but he's not allowed to wear them in school. You know.
Has he been told to bring his own hand sanitizer, as many schools have?
I just gave it to him.
You've gave it to him. All right. You were lucky to even get your hands on it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, have it since before.
All right, Barbara, I hope everything works out okay. And I can understand that fear that his girlfriend is from that school and he was obviously being a boyfriend, girlfriend. They were kissing last week and everything else. And again, fingers crossed this doesn't spread any further than we have already. Thanks very much for your call. Donna, you were in a Dublin hospital yesterday, and what did you see?
Hi, Adrian. I went in to use the ladies and it's still fallen on deaf ears. A woman came out of a cubicle while I was absolutely washing my hands out, not singing happy birthday, but walked out of the cubicle and straight out the door. I mean, seriously, it's all over the campus telling you to sanitize your hands. I'm going up.
Now, they'd be fairly standard. They would be there anyhow, urging people to wash their hands around the hospital.
Everybody's washing their hands. Everybody's using it. I mean, you know, she was in her mid-50s, no excuse. Absolutely no excuse. I just thought it was absolutely disgusting. With the result, we put tissue on the door that you even touch. I'm not OCD or over the top, but I just thought a little bit of common sense going into a hospital where there is sick people. You're passing on germs. You're passing on whatever, you know. So just a little bit of common sense, and it's still falling on deaf ears.
That's shocking. But in fact, I witnessed the exact same thing on Sunday in a toilet. A guy comes out of the cubicle and literally and he was manky dirty anyway, and just walked out the door.
Well, that's what I can't understand. This woman was well dressed, had a bit, I'd say, obviously a bit of sense. But I mean, not to wash your hands anyway is disgusting, but not to sanitize them and go up and see a patient. You don't know what you're touching. You know, we all just put tissue on the door. All of us were looking in shock. There's about 3 other women in the bathroom with me, and they just looked at each other as if to say, is she for real? You know, at this day and age, you know, we're trying our best to stop this virus or, you know, trying to contain it as best as we can. But common knowledge and a bit of common sense plus hygiene is essential.
Absolutely. And yeah, I mean, it's shocking in a hospital of all places.
Exactly.
It's not like we don't have signs all over the hospital. In fact, I find it a little bit bizarre that the HSE has to remind us to wash our hands. But anyway.
Absolutely. But that's what we're up against as well. But people should just realistically, going into a hospital, there is people in there that are sick, really bad. I mean, just use your common sense. Wash your hands, for God's sake.
All right. Thanks very much indeed, Donna. And yeah, I mean, if there's any habit that you should change, it's the habit of washing your hands as frequently as you can. And that's the number one bit of advice to basically keep your hands clean at all times. Sharon, you sent me a message a moment ago saying this whole coronavirus thing has me freaked out. Why?
Yeah, it's just... I was prepared for it to come here, and I was thinking to myself, we're definitely going to get it over here. But then as soon as I heard there was one confirmed case, I did get really nervous and I started kind of getting emotional just because, like, my nanny's in the hospital with her lungs at the moment. So if she was to catch it, it wouldn't be a great situation. But I just think the whole country isn't prepared for anything like this. Like, my dad works with food companies and they're already preparing for it and saying, like, they might not be able to deliver food to the shops. And in that case, nobody has food in the shops. Like, we're eventually going to run out for a while.
Do you see that happening? I mean, is it going to be like the snow where you won't be able to get Brennan's bread?
Well, that's what I'm thinking now. I was in the shops this morning, and even the cleaning aisle, there's like all the Dettol is getting wiped out. I was in Pavilions the other day, and not one place had hand sanitizer.
No, in fact, would you believe I was in the exact same centre the other day? My missus had asked me to get some hand sanitizer, and I couldn't get it anywhere. In any shop, in Boots or in...
Yeah, it's crazy. They're sold out everywhere.
Yeah.
One shop told me they sold 400 bottles in one day. And
really? My God.
Yeah, and my daughter was sent home from school on Friday getting told you need to bring in hand sanitizer. Then she was freaking out because we couldn't find hand sanitizer. But then she was told she has to wrap out, like, don't touch anything with steel when you're in bathrooms and stuff. So she wrapped everything in our bathroom, like the flusher, the taps, everything in the toilet roll. Like, it's making the kids nervous, like how much talk there is about it in the schools and stuff.
Okay, so what have you done? What have you changed in your life?
I went to do shopping twice the weekend, and I spent like over €200 on food in the freezer, fridge, presses, stocked up on everything. Because if there is a bad outbreak, I'm not going to leave the house with the kids. Like, I'd rather have everything that we need in the house now and not have to go into shops and risk like catching that. Not that I'm nervous catching. Now, I know it's just like, it's not that harmful to everybody. It's mainly like if you already have like a really bad immune system or respiratory problems and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But I still don't want a chance catching it. Like, so I have everything in the house ready for if we do need to stay inside. And my whole family have done that as well.
So you're panicking then?
Well, a little bit. I'm just kind of being prepared. It's not like it'll go to waste anyway. So I am being prepared for it if it comes and it does hit bad like other countries. And my dad advised me to do it as well. He's done the same in his house. He's stocked up on everything in the presses, everything in the fridge, and the same for my nanny's house. I went to do her shopping for a while in hospital, so her house will be full, and everyone's kind of doing it in my family now. We're just getting prepared for the worst because better to be prepared than not. So.
All right, Sharon, I hope it doesn't come to that we all have to stay at home, because we're all going to be in big, big trouble if that should happen to happen. A lot of you have been sending messages. I don't know how you haven't heard this before. A lot of you have been sending messages with photographs from the back of bottles of Dettol and stuff like that, where they say that this deals with the coronavirus, and how come if this is only a new thing. Just to very briefly explain from my limited medical knowledge, I'm by no means a doctor, but my understanding is that the coronavirus is a thing. And then you get different strains of coronavirus. So, for example, SARS was a strain of the coronavirus. And this new COVID-19 is a different strain of the coronavirus. So even though your bottle of Dettol spray may say on the back of it that this deals with the coronavirus, and you're thinking to yourself, well, how come? This is only a new thing. Coronavirus has been a thing for a long time. This is just a new strain of the coronavirus. Here's a WhatsApp voice note from Veronica.
Good morning, Adrian. Hand sanitizer, in fact, is antibacterial. This is viral. Soap and water, soap and water, soap and water.
And that is the advice from the HSE. Soap and water, soap and water, soap and water. And let me see. Dylan sent us this.
Just a heads up, if you're looking for hand sanitizer, check Lidl and Aldi. We got a heap of hand sanitizer in for the job in Lidl this morning in East Wall.
All right, very good. And yeah, look, this conversation is going to continue going on. There is new news coming out today. We understand this will be revealed a little bit later on today about another group of children that we understand are being asked to self-isolate. My understanding is it is related to the first case. So we will have that news as soon as it's released from the HSE. All right. Thanks very much indeed for all of your calls. You're listening to 98 FM's Dublin Talks. This is Adrian Kennedy. We're here till midday today. Now, on the way after the break, a story that I find a little bit embarrassing. A man from India comes to Ireland, and he comes to Ireland to study. as nearly 20,000 other international students do each year. He's perfectly legally entitled to be here. He has a proper visa to be here. He's even allowed to work 20 hours a week while he's here. But this man is scared for his life. You can hear his story straight after the break.
The sound of the city from Clondalkin to Clontarf. Dublin Talks. 98 FM's Dublin Talks.
And good morning from Adrian Kennedy. We're here until midday today. Our telephone number is 6797981. You can text, WhatsApp or send a WhatsApp voice note to 0877 98 98 98. Now, an international student, originally from India, but living here in Ireland and studying here in Ireland, and perfectly entitled to study here in Ireland, has described how he fears he will be killed as his house is under siege after an horrific beating by a Dublin gang of kids as young as 10. You need to hear this story. The attack took place at Aiming-Kent Park in Crumlin a couple of weeks back, but ever since then, he and his flatmates have been subject to terror. Literally, the house being bombarded day in and day out. This is a shocking story. The man's name is Prince Kumar Singh, and he joins me on the line. Prince Kumar Singh, can you take me back to that first attack in Aiming-Kent Park in Crumlin?
Yeah, in January, when I had finished my exam at 6 o'clock in Griffith College, and me and my friends, we were coming back from that park, and the teenagers, they maybe hardly the group of 10, 11, 12, 13, they were attacked on us by bicycle lock, and they hit my friends and me also, and my friend got 2 stitches on his back of his head. But now recently, some people are trying to harm us, and they're throwing stones at our house.
Okay, so you live in a house in Crumlin. You were an international student.
But I can't say these people are the same
as the ones that attacked you in the park. So let me just go back to the park attack. You described how these kids were kids as young as 10 using a bicycle lock to violently assault you.
Yeah.
10?
10, 11, 12, they are in the group of 8 to 10 kids. And they all are of the different ages. They are very small kids.
And obviously, when they surrounded you, you were helpless. You were powerless.
Yeah, I can't do anything for my self-defense because they all are kids. I can't touch them.
So, since that attack in Aiming-Kent Park, a number of young hooligans, you're not sure if they're the same kids, have been pelting stones at your house for days, shattering windows in the process.
Yeah, but because I didn't see anyone, so I can't say that these people are the same kids. Because from the last couple of days, every night they are throwing stones. Sometimes they are throwing the branches of the plants and something.
So I understand, for example, one morning at about 12:15, there was a bang. You called the guards. The guards came. As soon as the guards left, they attacked you again.
Yeah, the guard came 2 times. When they left at 12, and those group of children or teenagers, I don't know who are they came again and they again throw the stone.
Now, you are one of thousands of international students who are here in Ireland studying on a student visa quite legally. You share your house with other students as well, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, and you're all international students?
Yeah, we all are international students.
Okay, so you've come from India to study here in Griffith College, I understand, and you describe how, and this is very worrying for somebody coming to this country quite legally to study, you feel your life is now under threat.
Yes, because whenever I saw kids, now it's in my mind. Whenever I saw a group of kids, I start afraiding.
So this group of kids have what? Racism built into them?
Yeah, and I can't say these kids only. Whenever I went to the city center for shopping, for anything, there is lots of group of kids here. They are always throwing cans, water bottles. They're teasing us, abusing us, and I'm the one of one of those international students who speak about this. Most of the people in my class also, they are facing these kinds of issues daily, but they are not saying anything.
What you're telling me is that a group of students from the college that you go to who are from different countries around the world feel the same sort of intimidation and threat as they go about their daily business here in Dublin.
Yeah. Somewhere, somehow, most of my friends, they are facing these kinds of issues. But the problem is we can just complain about this issue. Nothing will be happening.
So what would you like to see either the government or the Gardaí do to make life safer for you and other international students?
Yeah, being an international student, I would like to request with the Irish government that they should be liable to take care of ourselves, because we are assets for this country and we are playing a very important role in the Irish economy, because Irish education industries are very big and most of the Indian students and students from so many countries, they are coming here for doing their masters and graduation. So we need our safety first. And I enjoy Dublin a lot. It's a very beautiful country, I'm still saying, and all people are not same. I met with so many Irish people, they are very helping, they are very good. But due to the sum of people, we are experience these kind of things.
And to hear somebody like yourself describe how you fear for your life in Dublin just because you happen to be from India or you happen to look foreign or whatever the case may be, I have to say I find that quite embarrassing as a Dublin man.
For me also, but still, I don't have any other option. What else I can do? I just complain to the guards. I can't do anything for my self-defense.
When you decided, or why did you originally decide to come to Ireland to study, and have you found yourself a little bit disappointed?
Yeah, right now I found myself a little bit disappointed because lots of Griffith College ambassadors, they are doing so many seminars in New Delhi. I am from New Delhi, the capital city of India, and I read on Google about the Ireland. Most of the people are reviewing that it's a very beautiful and peaceful country, which is. Undoubtedly, it's a very beautiful country. People are very nice. But I told you earlier, because of some people, because only few people, we are facing these kind of issues and we are experiencing very bad. The government needs to be re-educate that kids. And I'm asking and I'm looking for some lighting in the park, because there is no light in this park. It's a very dark place and it's a very big park.
And this is Eamon Cant Park in Crumlin is very dark.
Yeah, very dark, and there is not even a single light in the park. So I request to the local authority to please install some lights in this park and CCTV.
Do you look forward to leaving this country after what you've experienced?
After finish, I will try to go back to my country. Well, I will try my best between India and Ireland. I'm always looking forward to do something best, to share our culture, to share our business, because being an international student and I'm studying international business management, I will always try to do some best thing between two countries.
But this experience that you've had hasn't left too sour a taste in your mouth yet, I assume.
It should be, but still, I'll try. I still love Ireland, and I always try to put forward Ireland, and I do something best between India and Ireland to set an example.
Well, Prince Kumar Singh, like I said, as a Dublin man, I'm embarrassed almost that you have to be subjected to this sort of thing, being an international student studying here in Dublin. When was the most recent attack, and has it eased off, or is it continuing?
After 15th. They start attacking from 25th of Jan, and they continuously attack on 25th, 26th, 27th, and 28th.
All right, well, I appreciate you spending time to talk to us. I think this is something that really needs to be highlighted, that, as I said, students who are perfectly legally entitled to study in this country and have visas to study in this country are being attacked and singled out in this way. It's disgraceful.
Because we are living far away from my family, and they are always worried about my safety and security, because it's not my country. But here I treat this country as my country. I love this country, and I'm still thinking always forward for this country. And I always try my best to do something for Ireland.
All right, but look, I wish you well, and as I said, I appreciate you talking to us on 98 FM.
Thank you so much.
And the sad part of this story is, we get travel advisories of countries that we should not visit for your own safety. You'd never think Dublin would be on the list of one of those cities that you shouldn't visit for your own safety. But listening to that man's story, it certainly is if you're an international student. By the way, my thanks to Dara Berry from Dublin Live for his help with that story. We appreciate it, Dara. We're back in a second. It's 11 o'clock across Dublin. Good morning. This is Adrian Kennedy. This is 98 FM's Dublin Talks. And this is Trish with Tuesday's top headlines.
Thanks, Adrian. A teenager has been hospitalised after being stabbed in South Dublin. It happened at the Glencairn Lewis stop at around 10 o'clock last night. A teenage boy was approached by a gang, and during a row, the teenager was stabbed. A number of companies are taking measures to tackle the spread of coronavirus. Up to 8,000 workers in Google are working from home today after an employee presented with flu-like symptoms. Twitter and 3 Ireland are also taking measures to allow their staff work from home if needed. A male student in Dublin remains the only confirmed case of coronavirus in Ireland so far. Safer cycling is to be introduced along Dublin's quays after city councillors backed a temporary Liffey cycle route. Bollards will be used to segregate sections of the quay for cyclists. Where this isn't possible, existing bus lanes will become 24/7. And British royal couple William and Kate will meet President Michael D. Higgins at Áras an Uachtaráin this afternoon to kick off their official 3-day visit. Today they'll be staying in Dublin and visiting the Garden of Remembrance, government buildings and the Guinness Storehouse. And you're up to date on 98.
No, it sounds riveting, doesn't it?
Well, you'd expect it's nice to be able to go to Áras an Uachtaráin.
Well, I suppose, yeah.
You'd imagine they'd go to the Guinness Storehouse, meeting the Taoiseach, all par for the course.
Oh, brilliant. All right. Welcome, William and Kate. This is 98 FM.
98 FM's Dublin Talks. Call 6797 981.
And good morning from Adrian Kennedy. We're here until midday today. Our telephone number is 6797 981. You can text, WhatsApp, or send a WhatsApp voice note to 0877 98 98 98. 0877 98 98 98. And I'll tell you what I want to talk to you about next on the programme. This is a really simple one. What is the biggest mistake you've ever made at work? This is something that trended on Twitter yesterday. And a guy called Steve put it up. And Steve works in the radio business in the UK. And he said, I once accidentally erased an entire section of a master tape for a BBC Radio 4 afternoon play. So they were meant to be playing this play, and he'd erased the whole bloody thing. And it never got aired, obviously, because he deleted it. So, I want to hear from you. What is the biggest mistake you've ever made at work? Call us right now on 6797 981. You can text, WhatsApp, or send me a WhatsApp voice note to 0877 98 98 98. What is the biggest mistake you've ever made at work? I'll give you mine. This was many years ago, and I was in the middle of a radio show. And obviously a phone-in show. This is a number of years ago. And I had with me, as I always do, and in fact I have it here now, but I keep it away from here, I have in my hand a glass of water, and I drink a lot of water when I'm doing the programme, and we've like a water cooler thing outside here, and I drink a lot of water during the show, and always have done. However, one night, back in the day, in the middle of a live radio show, what did I do? My biggest mistake was I knocked over the entire glass of water, and it went into the mixing desk, and the mixing desk shut down, and the radio station was off the air for a good half hour. Until the engineers came in and fixed it. So I put an entire radio station off the air by spilling water into the mixing desk in the studio. That was my big mistake. So ever since then, I'm very anal about where my water is always over here. And even when I'm drinking the water, I turn around this way. And I kind of drink it behind me so that it's not anywhere near the mixing desk. Now, by the way, I'm not the only one who has ever done this. I would like to hear from you on 6797 981. Text, WhatsApp, or send a WhatsApp voice note to 0877 98 98 98. 0877 98 98 98. What is the biggest mistake you've ever made at work? I'd love to hear from you. Chloe, you're on 98 FM. How are you, Chloe?
Hi, good morning. How are you?
Chloe, tell me about the biggest mistake you ever made at work.
So, I used to work in the airport. I was about 19 at the time. And I used to do 5 a.m. in the morning shift 5 days a week.
Okay.
And it was, I think it was the 5th day of the week, and it was mad busy. It was so busy. And I was like, next please. And then, I don't know, I had like just a brain stoppage, and I just went, Ma'am, instead of next please.
So instead of saying next, you shouted to the next customer in the queue, Ma'am.
Yeah.
And I assume the next customer in the queue wasn't your mother.
No.
And
I broke my heart laughing, and the rest at the time, there was 7 or 8 tills in the shop that I worked in, and all it was loud, and the rest of the staff were just looking at me. And my mum was actually the supervisor in the shop at the time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we both worked in the same shop, and she was on the floor, and she heard me, and she was looking over what are you doing? But it was very funny, and the customers were laughing because they were like, did you not sleep last night?
That's hilarious.
It was about 5:30 in the morning,
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
Great story, Chloe. Thanks very much indeed. What was the biggest mistake you've ever made in work? I'd love to hear from you. Amy, you're on 98 FM. How are you, Amy?
Hi, good morning. How are you?
Amy, what was the biggest mistake you ever made in work?
So basically, I was training in a salon one time, and we were at the backwash. I was shampooing her hair. She was an elderly lady. She was just after going over and visiting her daughter in Australia.
Oh, right, yeah.
She was telling me then, the prices of getting your hair done in Australia, it's crazy money. So basically, I asked her about a sex act. Instead of saying a blow dry, I said something else.
So you said to this elderly lady, "Excuse me, ma'am, would you like a blow? A blow?
No,
hang on, a blow? That kind of thing." Oh,
exactly.
And did she hear you?
She did. I think she did hear me, but tried to pass it off to get me. But when we got to the mirror, she gave me a little kind of smirk, and I was like, "Oh my god, I could not get away from it."
I love it.
So that has just scarred me now for
I'd say
anytime
so.
I'm at the backwash now, it's just blow dry.
I'd imagine it scarred that poor woman for life as well.
Oh, I can well imagine. But look, you have to laugh about these things.
Yeah, I can imagine her going home now to her family, and you won't believe it. The young one asked me, did I want a blow?
Exactly.
It's hilarious. Great story, Amy. Thanks very much indeed. 6797 981 is our telephone number. Text, WhatsApp, or send a WhatsApp voice note to 0877 98 98 98. What is the biggest mistake you ever made at work? Alan, you're on Dublin's 98 FM. How are you, Alan?
How are you, Adrian? How's it going?
Good, thanks, Alan. We've all cocked up and work at one stage or another.
Oh, terrible. This is embarrassing. I never talked to this anyone for years after, but I was only 16 or 17 and starting in a job. And the manager put his hand down. It looked like a handshake gesture, so he shook his hand. He says, no, the keys, because he gave me the keys. He wanted the keys back. And then he said, congratulations. Anyway, that was it. It was embarrassing,
Actually, there is nothing worse than either going to shake somebody's hand when they'd no intention of shaking your hand.
No, you wanted the keys back, that's all.
Or
he said, congratulations,
Or, I tell you what's equally embarrassing, if you hold your hand out for a handshake and the person walks away from you. Or just ignores you. It's so embarrassing. It happened to me only last week. This woman walking towards me, and I was being introduced to her, and I held my hand out, and she just completely ignored my outstretched hand.
Yeah, that's just rude as well.
Although we'll have to stop shaking hands for the next couple of weeks with this coronavirus thing.
And all. Yeah.
All right, Alan. Thanks very much indeed. 6797 981. You can text, WhatsApp, or send a WhatsApp voice note to 0877 98 98 98. What is the biggest mistake you ever made at work? We've all done it. I've just told you, I put an entire radio station off the air by spilling a glass of water into the mixing desk in the studio while I was in the middle of a show. Tut, tut, tut. Florence, you're on 98 FM. Hiya, Florence.
Hi, how are you?
Tell us the biggest mistake you ever made at work.
Well, we were in training for computer training, and there was a girl sitting beside me. Now, she was visually impaired. But I had made a joke about the government saying, they take enough off of us, but they don't give anything back. And it came to the stage where I said, they're robbing us blind. Now, the room went quiet, and I just, the girl sitting beside me is blind, visually impaired, so I just didn't click with me what I had said, made a joke, and I just got up in embarrassment and left the room.
Oh, it's awful, isn't it? I feel your pain. Thanks, Florence. Niamh, you're on 98 FM. How are you, Niamh?
I'm good, how are you?
Good, thanks, Niamh. Tell us about the biggest mistake you ever made at work.
Right, so I was about 18 at the time, and I just started working in a restaurant, and my boss was a bit odd, and I was emailing him over about a payslip, and his name was Barry, and I was emailing on my phone, and I auto-corrected to "Hi, baby." So I emailed him back straight away saying, sorry, I meant to say Barry, and the piss was taken out of me for weeks. Anytime an order came in, they were like, there's an order for you, baby.
So it auto-corrected Gary to baby?
No, Barry to baby.
Oh, Barry to baby. All right, okay. Yeah. That's hilarious. So you're calling your new boss in your new job, "Hi, baby"?
Yeah.
Oh, that is horrendous. And they rip the piss out of you constantly over that?
For a week, yeah.
Well, you can understand that, can't you?
Yeah.
That's a great story. Thank you, Niamh. 6797 981. There's loads coming in because we've all cocked up in work at one stage or another. And it's not necessarily embarrassing, it's just a major cock up. Jen, you're on 98 FM. How are you, Jen?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Jen, tell us about the biggest mistake you ever made at work.
Oh, God. So I was about 17 and I was training to be an apprentice hairdresser, and this lady had come in and she just was like a no-nonsense kind of person. And the stylist had done her hair and she wasn't happy with the colour, and she ended up in the salon for about 6 hours to get to like the colour that she wanted. She wanted like white blonde. So they sent her up to the base, and then during, like, when you've shampooed the hair and you condition it, you have to comb it through. And I was like in a rush, and I grabbed the comb from the next sink, and there was all purple dye in it, and I used it to comb through
oh, no.
her hair. And so I realised, like, after, I brushed it through once, and I was like, oh my God, and it was all purple streaks in her hair, and I nearly died, and I panicked, and I was so wet, and I was like, what
did you do?
I just had to keep shampooing it, and there was another junior, and I called her over and kind of whispered to her. I was like, what am I going to do? I was like, her hair is purple.
Oh my God.
And so we just had to keep shampooing it, and she didn't notice, but like when they were
She didn't ask, why are you constantly shampooing my hair, did she?
She just thought she was getting like loads of treatments and loads of freebies because she'd been there for so long. Oh, it was awful. I actually nearly died. I got away with it though. I don't know how I did, but yeah, it was very funny looking back.
Oh, that's hilarious. That's brilliant. I assume you got it all out, did you?
Yeah, but then when they were blow drying her hair, she had like a purple hue off it, and I was standing on the base, and I'm like, oh God, I hope nobody notices.
She never came back and complained, obviously.
No, she didn't. She
Thank
never
God
came back at all. I don't like her very much.
I was in this hairdressers. They were obsessed with cleaning my hair. Yeah. That's a great story, Jen. Thanks very much indeed.
No problem. Have a good day.
You too. I work in a restaurant, says this message. And there was a guy in a wheelchair at a table, and I was clearing away his main course. He said, oh my God, I'm stuffed. And I replied to him, sure, it's okay, we'll have to roll you out of here. Oh, how embarrassing. Keep them coming in, 6797 981, or as I said, you can text, WhatsApp, or send a WhatsApp voice note to 0877 98 98 98 like Adrian just did.
I worked in student services, and a student emailed me in a complaint, and it was kind of in a thread of all the students in the class, and I replied to all. So every student in the class ended up seeing this student's complaint about another student. Oh my God, it was awful. What can you do? So I just had to get the whole class together and talk it out. It was awful.
That is awful. I've actually done that myself. I've replied to a particular email saying something about a particular person, but replied to all staff. Luckily, it wasn't too bad. It could have been an awful lot worse. Saoirse, you're on 98 FM. Hiya, Saoirse.
Hi, how are you?
What was the biggest mistake you ever made at work?
Oh, well, right, I work in a well-known retail shop, and this really old man came in, and he was so rude.
Mm-hmm.
And he wanted to buy like a crate of water, and he was like, "Can you carry this up for me?" And I'm only a little small thing, like, and I was like, "Yeah, like it's my job, I have to." So I carried it up to the till, and the girl that was on the till, I went, "That's for that fucking fella." I was like, "Yeah, the really old one." I didn't realise the woman standing at the till was his wife.
Oh no!
Yeah, and she said, "That's actually for my husband."
Oh, so like, you went up. Oh, that's for that L fella, and
yeah.
and it was his wife. Oh no!
And she was just like, "That's I'm his wife. Like, that's for my husband." And I was like, "Oh, I'm terribly sorry." He was just very rude to me. She walked off and didn't buy anything. She just left the shop.
Oh, that's a great story as well. Thank you, Saoirse. I'm loving these stories today. We're talking about, this was a thing that trended on Twitter yesterday, about the biggest mistake you've ever made at work. And we've all done something stupid. Some of us have done something stupid that's got us into trouble. Others have done something stupid that's just embarrassing. Marie, tell me about the biggest mistake you ever made at work.
Oh, first of all, I didn't even make it into work in the end.
Oh, well, it's okay.
So, like, I started work at 6:30 in the morning, right? I was late all week, and I was like, right, I have to be up this time. I have to be up. I have to make it on time for 6:30. So I set my alarm, all that. So I woke up just before my alarm went off, thought I slept it out again. And it was 25 past. I was like, I'll be there in 5 minutes. What do I do? Got in, bombed it into work. I was like a mess coming in, standing outside the gym, and I was like, where is everyone? Like, texting everyone going, where are you? Do I have to start now? Wasn't it 4:30 in the morning? I was 2 hours late for work in the end. And I had messages to my boss saying, oh, look, where are you? I have to start. Literally spent the entire day calling myself a tick all day. I was like 2 hours late for work. Early.
You said it was... 2 hours early for work. I was
early for work.
I was
4:30
wondering.
I showed up. 4:30 in the morning I showed up for work, and I was like, you are a tick. Who goes to work 2 hours early? Like,
no, nobody does. No, absolutely nobody.
No, 4:30. So it's been calling myself tick for the last week, and everyone at work is like, oh, here she is, early finally.
That's brilliant. That's a great story. Yeah. Thanks, Marie. Chanel, you're on 98 FM. Tell us the biggest mistake you've ever made at work.
Well, basically, it was my first office job. I was about 18, and I went in 9 o'clock that morning, all excited. Brought my lunch and my little breakfast snack.
Okay.
So anyway, about 9:15, they offered me a cup of tea to go into the canteen. I said, yeah, brilliant, fantastic. So went in, took out my little snack, put it into the toaster. Cream crackers. I love cream crackers toasted.
Cream crackers toasted?
Yeah.
Are cream crackers not toasted already?
Probably, but I
you like them extra toasted?
Extra toasted.
Right, okay, go on.
So as they were toasting, they set off the alarm in the warehouse. So the whole office and people in the warehouse had to evacuate the building.
Oh,
so that
my
was
God.
my very exciting first day in work.
That's awful.
Yeah.
Well, I have to say, I've never understood why companies have toasters, because the amount of times I've been in an office where the toaster has set off the smoke alarm and the entire building has to have to be evacuated, it doesn't make sense having toasters in the building at all. But cream crackers, cream crackers and toasters aren't a great mix anyway.
Yeah, no, definitely not. I learnt my lesson.
Oh, right.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you, Chanel. Sean from Finglas sent me this message. I sent pornography in work to the country manager by mistake. Same name as my mate. Very young and very foolish. I was suspended for a month. That was the penalty. I have never known panic like it. So he sent some porn instead of to his mate, to the country manager of the company that he was working for. Jennifer, tell us about the biggest mistake you ever made at work.
Well, I work in Tesco and I work on a customer service desk. So more or less, I have to call people's name from time to time, and I also have to announce when the shop is closing.
Mm-hmm.
So, shop is closing one day, and my supervisor goes to me, Jennifer, will you call time and tell everybody that the shop's closing? So I was like, yep, no bother. So, my usual, tell people that the shop's closing. So, instead of saying we were closing in 15 minutes, I told everybody what time it was instead. So, for weeks on end, everybody kept saying to me, so, Jennifer, what time is it?
So, you went on the microphone,
yeah,
and you said, ladies and gentlemen, it's 5:45.
Well, we closed at 8 o'clock that day, so I told them that it was 8 o'clock instead, and I stopped midway after I said it, and everyone just looked at me. They were like, you're supposed to say it was 15 minutes to our closing. I was like, I know. And then said it 5 minutes later, and then everyone kept asking me the day after, so, Jennifer, what time is it?
Very good. Thank you, Jennifer. Let's squeeze in a couple more. Me and the husband were texting each other one evening, and of course I had a few drinks on me. So I texted him messing in a kinky way, and by mistake I sent it to my sister. Well, she told me her and her husband had a great laugh. That's nothing to do, Susan, with work, really, is it? No? Biggest mistake you ever made at work? That's the biggest mistake you ever made in your family. Courtney, you're on 98 FM. Hiya, Courtney.
Hiya, how are you?
Good, thank you. Courtney, what was the biggest mistake you ever made at work?
It was a good few years now. I started in a sports shop, and they were taking the piss out of me, which I didn't know until after. They asked me if I couldn't get the pump up the Air Max. And it was only when I turned around to went and asked for the pump, where's the pump to pump the Air Max runners up. Everyone just broke their heart laughing at me.
Good story, Courtney. And one last one, and that is you, Michaela. You're on 98 FM. Hiya, Michaela.
Hi, Adrian.
Now, Michaela, tell us about the biggest mistake you ever made at work.
Yeah, so I started working in a bookies about 2 years ago, and I hadn't a clue about anything to do with horses or sports before I started.
All right. How did you get the job in the bookies then?
I just had to pass a maths test and an interview to get in, and that's how easy it was.
Really? Oh, okay.
Literally, yeah. So for your first few weeks, you're learning about like all training and stuff like that to have an assessment before like you can move up the ladder and stuff. So one of the colleagues started telling me that pregnant horses run faster because you have more horsepower, and me being me, not knowing anything, started to believe this. So I went around and started telling some of the customers, like, oh, did you hear this, that the horses run faster because they have more horsepower? Everyone just ripped it. So I was led to believe that.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's hilarious. That's a great... Actually, Michaela, just for the embarrassment of thinking horses run on horsepower, I'm going to send you to the cinema. How about that? We'll send you to...
Thanks very much.
To IMC Cinemas. Well done, Michaela. Thanks very much indeed. And thanks all of you for your stories. There were some really entertaining stories today on the biggest mistake that you've ever made at work. Here's one final message. This is an awfully big mistake. I still feel my blood draining from me when I think of this. It was horrific. I cut part of my client's ear off. It was horrific. I bundled her into the car, took loads of money out of the till and drove her to the dock. Fortunately, she never sued. What a lady. I feel terrible, but she was so good about the whole thing. Oh my God. Couldn't have a client's ear off. Anyway, there's some great stories. Thanks very much indeed. You're listening to 98 FM's Dublin Talks. This is Adrian Kennedy with you until midday today. Now, on the way after the break, this is a dilemma and a half that I want to share with you. And in fact, one of our listeners who signed her name, Anonymous, you'll see why this, we know this is a lady, but she signed her name Anonymous, and she's looking for your help. How would you cope? And I'll read her entire message after the break. How would you cope if you found out your boyfriend, and you everything's going brilliantly, good relationship, everything's going great, but how would you find out if he had a relationship with a man in the past? In other words, he's obviously bisexual. This is the dilemma that Anonymous is facing. And this lady contacted us by email, dublintalks@98fm.com. I'll read her entire email after the break. Have you ever had to deal with this, where you're in a relationship with somebody and you find out at some stage that the person is basically bisexual, had a gay relationship in the past, be it a man or a woman? Call me now on 6797981. I'll talk to Teresa straight after the break. Some people are saying this lady should run for the hills. Wait till you hear her whole story and then make your mind up.
The sound of the city from Donamead to Drimna. Dublin Talks. 98 FM's Dublin Talks.
And this is Adrian Kennedy. We're with you on till midday today. Now, everyone entering a new relationship has a past. We all know that. But should your past affect your future in that relationship? I want you to think about this for a minute. If the woman or man that you are with now told you that they are bisexual and had been in a same-sex relationship in the past, how would you feel? Would it affect you moving forward with your relationship? Would it change how you look at that person? The reason I ask is we received this message by email last night from a Dublin woman who wants to remain anonymous, and you'll know why when you hear this. Here's what this lady says. Hi, Adrian. I have a topic that I would really like you to bring up on your radio show, please. But please keep me anonymous and don't mention my name. I'm seeing a guy for over 3 months now, and it's going really, really well. Until yesterday. Last night, he told me that he is bisexual and that he has been in a same-sex relationship in the past. It floored me. I wasn't expecting it at all. He told me that he doesn't fall in love with gender. He falls for people and the kind of people that they are. It's basically what's inside. I really, really like this guy. He's funny, he's smart, he's kind, and he's good looking. But I don't know if I can continue with the relationship after this revelation. It's all too weird for me. I also wonder and worry that if I continue with this relationship, will he decide down the line that he would rather date men? And let's face it, if he does, I can't compete with that or do anything about it. As I said above, I also find it very weird. I don't know if I can date a man and be intimate with him knowing that he has had sexual relations with other men. I also want to add that I'm in no way homophobic. I actually hate homophobes. I'm just so upset by the whole thing, and I've asked him to give me a few days to just let the information sink in. Now I don't know what to do. Have any of your listeners ever been in this situation? What should I do? Any advice would be much appreciated. And that's from somebody who signed her name Anonymous. Now, it's a great email, and it raises the question. We all talk about, and in fact, it's a conversation we have had before. Is your sexual history relevant in a new relationship? In other words, if he or she asks you, well, how many partners did you have before me? A lot of you say, well, actually, no, the past is in the past. It's none of anybody's business. Leave it back there. And that you don't really have a right to find out how many sexual partners your partner had. Now, some of you think that. Not everybody, but some of you do. But when it comes to this one, she has found out. I don't even know how the conversation came up, but he told her at the weekend that he's bisexual and has in the past had a same-sex relationship in the past. Call me right now on 6797 981. You can text, WhatsApp, or send a WhatsApp voice note to 0877 98 98 98. So basically, this lady was floored with this revelation that in the past, her current boyfriend, who, as I said, she's mad about him basically, but can't get her head around the fact that he had a same-sex relationship in the past. Call me right now on 6797 981. A lot of people on our Facebook page, when we posted this earlier, were saying things like this woman is homophobic. She even addressed that in her message to us. She says, I want to add, I'm not in any way homophobic. I hate homophobes. If you've ever been affected by this, call me now. Vanessa, you're on 98 FM. Hi, Vanessa.
Good morning.
Good morning, Vanessa. Now, your point on this is that this email proves that biphobia is alive and well.
Yes, it does. Now, I understand why people have an issue, but I mean, look, the way I look at it, I'm bisexual myself, and I'm part of Bi Plus Ireland. And the way we view things is, if you're okay with your partner having a relationship before you, then it shouldn't matter what gender it is, unless you have an issue with them having a same-sex relationship. And I would hope that people...
And sorry to cut across you, Vanessa. This comes back to the point I made just a moment ago, that, some people believe your past is your past. It's irrelevant how many partners you may have had, unless you're in the hundreds or whatever and riddled with disease. But generally speaking, a lot of people think the past is in the past. So,
well, it comes from a position of insecurity. If you're insecure about your partner being around other women, and then you're insecure about them being around other men, then you don't feel secure in the relationship itself.
Oh, right. She's saying in the message that everything's going brilliantly. She really likes him. That he told her that he doesn't fall in love with gender. He falls for people.
Yes.
Now,
exactly.
I was very interested in this conversation because we discussed this in the office earlier on today, okay? And I spoke to a straight woman, and she said that she would have a bit of an issue with it. But I was also talking to a gay man who also said he'd have an issue with it. In other words, the straight woman would prefer to date a guy that was straight, and the gay man would prefer to date a guy who was gay.
Yeah, see, even in the gay community, bi-erasure is still an issue. But again, I would come back to the point that it is due to insecurities, and it is. I know people don't like to view themselves as homophobic, and I wouldn't want to call anyone homophobic for being biphobic, but it is biphobia. It is this idea that you have to protect yourself against, you're already defending yourself against your own gender without having to protect yourself against the other gender. And it stems from insecurities.
So it's a double insecurity then, isn't it?
Yes. It's that you're not secure about yourself in that relationship.
Let me ask you, you describe yourself, Vanessa, as bisexual. Have you been in relationships with both men and women?
I have.
And has it ever caused you an issue?
No. Because, you see, part of the issue is if you haven't encountered bisexual people before, part of the issue is that we are presented as this idea that we can't be faithful to our partners because we don't view body parts as an issue for falling in love. We fall in love with personalities, with people. We don't look at what body parts they have.
Okay, but my question to you was, has this ever been an issue? Has anybody
I've never had an issue. I've always been honest with my partners.
So if you get into a relationship with a guy, you will be honest with him and say, I've had relationships with women in the past?
Yes.
And you've never had an adverse reaction?
I'm going to be honest, I have never had an issue, personally.
Okay.
But I have known people who have been in that position where the relationship breaks off because they can't handle it. If you love someone, if you care about someone, their history should not come into it if you trust that person. If you are insecure in your own self in that relationship, that's where the problems start.
Okay, stay there for 1 second, Vanessa. But, biphobia is a thing. It's a word that we don't hear as often as we would hear the word homophobia. But biphobia is a thing. And I've spoken to straight and gay people about this, and a lot of them would be phobic, if you like, towards bisexual people.
Yeah, they would be cautious. They would definitely be cautious because, again, we are presented as this entity that cannot genuinely love or cannot genuinely be faithful to a partner because we appreciate both genders.
Okay, stay there for 1 second if you can, please, Vanessa. 6797981 is our telephone number. Riley sent me this WhatsApp voice note.
That lady makes my blood boil. A person's a person. If they're attracted to you, and you're attracted to them, obviously, then that's all that matters. Yes, that is being very phobic. You're dismissing someone because of who they might be attracted to. What does it change that that your partner is attracted to a guy? I mean, he could be attracted to other women. Should you not be more worried about that? Don't be stupid. Get your head out of your ass and stop being biphobic.
Biphobic. Thank you, Riley. Call us now on 6797981. Text, WhatsApp, or send a WhatsApp voice note to 0877 98 98 98. We're talking about an email, should I say. Sorry, who sends letters anymore? We got an email from a lady who, obviously we know her email address, but she signed her name anonymous, and we'll respect that. She's going out with this guy for over 3 months, and over the last day or two, he told her that he is bisexual and has in the past been in a same-sex relationship. As she said, it floored me. I wasn't expecting it. He told me he doesn't fall in love with gender. He falls for people and the kind of people that they are. In other words, what's inside. I really like this guy. He's funny, smart, kind and good looking, but I don't know if I can continue the relationship. It's all too weird for me. Now, a lot of people contacting us are saying this lady is biphobic. She's not homophobic, she's biphobic. We'll take a quick break. Oh, sorry, I've been asked to play this just before that break. Oh, no, in fact, it's too long. I have to take the break. But I'll play this message from Jeanette straight after the break. Don't go away.
The sound of the city, from Drumcondra to Dalkey. Dublin Talks. 98 FM's Dublin Talks.
And this is Adrian Kennedy with you until midday today. I want to just go back an hour and a bit on the show and make reference to something that we made reference to on the show. And this was an alleged, and I did say it at the time, an alleged letter from the HSE concerning the coronavirus and something to do with Clontarf. Now, that's about as much as I said about it. We did get sent into us an extremely convincing PDF copy of this alleged letter. Very similar to the PDF copy of the letter sent to parents from the school yesterday. But can I just let you know, and this really is it's after really annoying me, to be quite honest with you. Annoying me because some people just have far too much time in their hands, and why would somebody think of even doing this? A letter claiming to be issued by the HSE advising members of a band in Dublin to self-isolate has been confirmed as fake. So somebody went to the trouble of making a fake PDF letter, which was very similar to the letter sent to the parents of the school that has been shut down. Anyway, the Department of Health said that this letter, which has been circulating on social media, is fake and was not issued by the HSE. The letter had claimed that members of an under-15 band who attended practice over the weekend should self-isolate. It said a person who attended the practice had the illness. This is not correct. So we were sent that in by many, many people. But what had me slightly convinced, and I have to tell you, had other journalists convinced, is that it was sent in PDF format. Now, for those of you who know your Word documents and your PDFs, a PDF is a little bit more convincing as being genuine as opposed to a screenshot. We were sent in a PDF copy of this earlier on. Who in their right mind thinks it's even vaguely funny to spread a message like that? Or has that time on their hands to do that? It makes me despair. What a loser. What an absolute loser who sat at a computer and designed this letter to look as real as it did. I don't know what laugh you get out of it. And my understanding is, we certainly didn't say that it was confirmed. We said on this programme that it was sent into us in PDF form and it looked legitimate. I didn't go into any details about where it was affected and whatever, but I understand on RTE it was confirmed as being genuine. But it is not genuine. Can I just confirm that with you? For any of you who received that, and to the person who sat down and designed that letter, shame on you. At a time where people are genuinely concerned and genuinely worried about this illness, for somebody to try and spread fear even more than it already is out there, shame on you. Anyway, let's get back to the conversation in hand, and that is the message from Anonymous. And Anonymous said in their message, basically her boyfriend of over 3 months over the weekend told her that he's bisexual and he's had a same-sex relationship in the past. Let me play this WhatsApp voice note that came in from Jeanette.
I don't think that girl is being biophobe at all whatsoever. I think it comes down to preference as well. Like, my partner is a man's man, basically. Like, he's women on the brain. Obviously, me. But if he had told me that he was seeing a man before me, it would be a no-no for me. Because I don't think I could stomach the thought of him being with another man, because for me personally, it's preference. I'm not gay, and I don't want to be with a gay man or a man who's been with men. I want to be with a man who is strictly for women and who strictly likes women. A man's a man, a proper male. That's it. Not just, I don't mean a proper male as in like gay men are proper men. Don't get me wrong on that one. But that's just my opinion anyway, and I'm entitled to preference, obviously, like that girl is as well. She's entitled to feel the way she does feel about it.
All right, Jeanette. Vanessa, listening to that message, is that biphobia?
That is biphobia and slight homophobia. A man is a man is a man.
Well, she said a man's man is what she said.
A man's man, but a man is what she said. Not to say that gay men aren't men. That's exactly what she said. I'm sorry. And look, to me, I don't try to be judgmental about it. I would invite anyone who has misconceptions about bisexuality to come to Bi Plus Ireland, to our Facebook page, and talk to us, talk to our partners if you are concerned, or if you want to understand and want to know more. Because like with homophobia, the only way you change attitudes is by engaging and being honest and being open to discussion. But yeah, I'm sorry, that is biphobic. It comes to securities. She's only secure if she thinks that her partner only likes females. You know?
Okay, so this is an insecurity issue, and like we said a while ago, a doubled up insecurity issue, because she's worried now that he might be more interested in another man or another woman.
Yeah, that she's not woman enough to keep him. That's part of the insecurity.
Okay, stay there for 1 second. 6797 981 is our telephone number. Eddie, you're on 98 FM. How are you, Eddie?
Good morning, Adrian. How are you?
Eddie, you're saying that you can see why she would be concerned.
100%.
Concerned about what?
It's all down to preference, but also, right, if it wasn't such a big deal, you should have told her from the off. Why wait a couple of months until there's feelings involved? You know what I mean? She has a right to go with who she feels comfortable with. Call me old-fashioned, but I want to go with a girl that only likes men. I don't. That's just me. And there's a lot of people out there like that. You know what I mean?
What I'm hearing... What I'm hearing from... Okay.
Call me homophobic, boyphobic, couldn't give a shite.
Okay.
I like what I like.
All right, hang on for 1 second. The fact of the matter is that, you know, we all talk about whether or not somebody's sexual past is any of our business when we get into a new relationship. And a lot of people think it isn't. And a lot of people lie when that question comes up. Oh, how many were you with in the past? A lot of people either exaggerate it or underplay it. So is it any of her business, really, that he may have been with a bloke in the past?
If it makes her feel uncomfortable and she wants to be with a genuinely straight man, she has every right to be with who she feels comfortable with.
Okay, stay there for 1 second. Teresa, you're on 98 FM. Hiya, Teresa.
How are you? I totally agree with him. That the girl should have a choice.
But she does have a choice. Obviously, she does have a choice.
Well, she's obviously worried because she wouldn't be asking the question. And you're afraid to say anything anymore because everything's considered now. You're giving out about everything, or you're racist, or you're this.
Or you're homophobic, or biphobic, or whatever. Okay,
biphobic, absolutely ridiculous it is. You have a right to be with whoever you want to be, and if their way of life doesn't suit you, it doesn't suit you. It doesn't mean that you're biphobic. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Okay, this lady has been with this guy for over 3 months. She said he's funny, smart, kind and good looking. That's everything you can ask for in a bloke. But she just finds it too weird that in the past he had a same-sex relationship.
I wouldn't, it personally would not be for me at all. It just wouldn't be for me. And for that other girl to say it's insecurity, it's not insecurity if you don't want to be with somebody who's with both male and female. Absolutely ridiculous.
Okay, Vanessa, what do you say to that? It's ridiculous to suggest that this is insecurity.
But then you have to ask, why do you have a problem with it?
Why? For me personally, the problem is if I want to be with a man, I want to be just with a man. I don't want to be with a man that was with another man.
But do you want to be with a man that was with another woman?
Or with 15, or with 20? You know, if they're going to be faithful to you, then what's the problem?
I'm not worried about being. I'm not talking about being faithful.
Well, hang on, Teresa, does it worry you, or would it worry you, what sort of a sexual past a guy had if he was only ever with women, let's say?
Of course it would if he was with a lot of women, how he treated them women in the past. Of course that would matter. His history would matter.
Okay, so why would it matter if part of that history happens to have been a same-sex relationship? What's the difference?
It's just no. Just absolutely no. Maybe I'm old school. Maybe that's how I am, but that's who I am.
Old school. That's not old school. That's homophobic. That's biphobic.
How is that homophobic? You can't say everything has to be right. If I met a guy and 6 months later I went to his house, he brought me into his bedroom, it was like a dungeon. Because I don't want to hang out the ceiling on nipple piercers. What am I now? Because I don't agree with his way of life. Everybody has an opinion. It doesn't mean they're phobic against everything. You don't have to.
I mean, she has okay, Vanessa, she has a point. And the way she described it is very good. She's with this guy, he brings her around to the house, and suddenly she sees whips and chains and everything else. And she's not into that. It's just not her thing.
But there's a difference between sexual appetite in terms of what you like to do, and sexual appetite as in who you have the ability to fall in love with, or who you have the ability to like.
I think that guy is just a player to that girl. You have to ask,
what is the actual problem that you have?
And again, Teresa, what is the actual problem here?
The problem is, if it's a man and woman, that's how I am. If I'm with a man, he's a man. He's not with other men.
But no, he's not. No. He's not.
The man that I'm with would be with me, that I'm just with men and not with other women.
But so this guy is committed to you. Like I said, Anonymous said in her message, he's funny, smart, kind and good looking. Now, she really likes him, but the fact is he was with a bloke in the past. How should that be relevant today if he's committed in the relationship to her?
Because listen, you go with your gut feeling. If it feels wrong, it's wrong. If she's
let's just put it, Vanessa, let's put it that way. If she feels it's wrong, then it's wrong. In other words, what Teresa's basically saying is we shouldn't be forcing this woman to feel a certain way.
I'm not trying to force anyone to feel any way. But the point that I'm making, okay, is the idea is that she is disgusted with a man.
But she never said the word disgusted. No, she didn't say the word disgusted.
Because she won't, which is understandable. But what I'm getting from the conversation is that the idea of her partner being with another man is what she has a problem with. But if he has been safe and he is committed to her, see, that's the problem. People don't understand that you can be committed to your partner.
Okay,
and the idea that they're going to run off with another man.
And your history should be kind of irrelevant then?
Yeah.
Okay, as long as you're committed to that person. Stay there for a second, Vanessa. Richard, you're on 98 FM. How are you, Richard?
Hey, man, how's it going?
Good, thank you. Tell me your dilemma.
Well, I've got the other problem. My wife's bi, and now she's decided she wants us to get a girlfriend.
Us?
Us, yeah.
Oh, right, okay. Have you always known that she's bi?
Yes, yeah, I knew, like, when I met her. I actually met one of her previous girlfriends.
Okay, and you were cool with that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so
I'm very happy with that.
You weren't like Anonymous. Her past didn't influence your present, basically.
No, well, I think, if somebody's happy to talk about their sexuality, that makes them a more secure person. The people who are upset about it, the people who are worried, they're the ones that have the problems.
Okay, so how long are you with this lady?
Oh, years now.
Years now.
Years.
Oh, 5 years, okay. So she was honest with you at the start. She said she was bi. She'd had relationships with women in the past, exactly like this story here. But 5 years on now, she wants ye, as in both of you, to get a girlfriend. In other words, to have a threesome.
I don't know, maybe she's teasing me. But, I mean, she keeps talking about it, yeah.
Right, so she's teasing you to try and get an answer out of you. What have you said, as a matter of interest?
What I've said is, you might be teasing me. If you bring somebody home, or if you introduce me to somebody that you've met, then I'll believe you. But I'm no way am I going to go out on the hunt and see if I can bring somebody home, because you don't know what you're getting into.
Now, this is one of the worries that people might have with regard to a relationship with somebody who's bisexual, that ultimately you may not be able to fill all of their sexual needs. You're a man, and obviously a woman can do different things, I suppose.
No, I don't know how that works.
No, I don't know how it works myself.
I could do most of those things.
But the point being that, well, okay, so she still, obviously, perhaps, because you don't know if she's winding you up or not, has this desire to be with a woman.
Yeah, it looks like it.
Now, isn't that, Vanessa, the key to why some people would have a problem with this?
Yeah. Personally speaking, if I'm in a relationship, I'm committed to that relationship. I would be just as kind of unhappy with my partner saying, "Oh, let's get another person in." I wouldn't be comfortable with that at all. But again, it's the idea that all bisexuals cannot be sexually gratified by just one gender. That's not true.
And I think that ultimately is what this comes down to, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's the insecurity that people are feeling, which is completely understandable.
Richard, just as a matter of interest, has this conversation, whether it be real or not, and she may not have said it a couple of times if she didn't mean it somewhere, or she's just teasing you out or whatever, does it make you feel insecure?
Well, I think most people are not satisfied in their relationships anyway.
Yeah, you're probably right, actually, yeah.
You just,
if we're all to be honest, yeah.
Sex is not the only thing that happens in a relationship.
No, of course
There's a whole
not.
lot more to it.
Absolutely,
yeah. All relationships are a compromise. So,
Okay, but it hasn't made you particularly feel insecure?
No, I don't, because there are men out there with different bodies who are more
absolutely.
Than me. There's always going to be somebody else.
When I look at my own belly every day, Richard, I realise there's much better looking men out there. Yeah, absolutely.
You look in the mirror and you think, God, why did she marry me?
Yeah, but I think that every day. Richard, thanks very much indeed. And Vanessa, that's been a fascinating conversation, and I appreciate you taking part in the conversation
today. Thank you for having me on.
All right, good to talk to you. Thanks very much indeed. And Jeanette, unfortunately, she sent us in a great WhatsApp voice note, but I don't have time to play it. Sorry about that, Jeanette. That's it from us for today. Thank you for listening. If you've something you want to bring up in the programme, send us an email to dublintalks@98fm.com. Barry Dunn is next, live from Dundrum Town Centre. He's great music lined up like these.
The sound of the city, from Furhouse to Finglas. Dublin Talks. 98 FM's Dublin Talk.